Let's take a very important question as a start. What is quality in education? And in fact, a very difficult question to answer. There are many things that we have to take into account, and we learn certainly that the learning environment and how it is created is a crucial point. Everyone has ideas about that. Secondly, you can look at the output and say what the school or the setting is producing, in a sense, as the outcome of what they do with their learning environment is critical. And I think it's the most important thing. And also there we know that we have to go further than language and mathematics, and other things should be part of that. But we can also have a smart solution if we want to look at what would be the easiest way to know if a setting in early years, from babies and toddlers up to higher education, is doing a good job. And there I would say the process-oriented approach is the solution. Because in the process-oriented approach, we ask ourselves, what kind of experience is it to be here during these lessons? What does happen in the child, in the learner, in the student at that particular moment? And a lot is going on cognitively indeed, but we have learned that there are two qualities that should be part of the experience of these children. And the first is well-being. Isn't it evident that when you are somewhere in that setting, in a school, in the class with a teacher, that you feel okay, that you don't feel threatened, that you can feel that you can be yourself, that you can ask questions, express that you have a difficulty with something, but also more than that, that the atmosphere is positive, there is some humor, you like to be there, you enjoy the connection you have with the others. But well-being in this sense is not enough. You expect also another quality during something in a setting that is called educational, and that second quality in your experience is involvement. Not involvement like being involved in an accident and involved in a crime or whatever, but involvement in the meaning of total concentration, being totally fascinated, being engaged in what you are doing, and going the full length of your capabilities. You put them in, you are at the very limits of what you can. It challenges you. And in fact, it gives you an enormous satisfaction, so also kind of well-being, which is the satisfaction of feeling that your exploratory drive, your sense of getting grips to reality is growing. And that fascination is enormous, as a satisfaction is huge. From the age of babies and toddlers already. The description of well-being and involvement as the key indicators of quality holds for any setting that is supposed to be educational, where your goal is to have development of persons. And it holds for any child, whatever its age, whatever its background, even whatever its capacity is. Always, if there are no moments prevailing of well-being and involvement, there is no quality. So we have to go as far as we can, especially with children who have a background maybe, or a profile that is not the same as the mainstream. There, for all children, but there particularly, you would focus on how they feel well-being and how involved they are in the activities that you offer. You have children that are not mastering the language, for example, or have a totally different cultural background, who struggle with adapting to context that is totally new to them, and that would be problematic for any child that travels around. Well, also there, it's particularly important that you get as close as possible to the child. Who is he? How does he feel? Where or what are his or her talents? What is his or her main concern? Where do you see that you have to address some parts of his development that, if you don't do that, will lead to a problem? And certainly it's obvious that investing in the language development, because that is part of the transition, and certainly language is a key point to grow in such a way that your well-being and involvement is high. Well, you will then be particularly interested to find out what would be the most powerful and effective learning environment to do so. What we know for sure is that concentrating on this child or these children in a group and a setting is not enough. They are part of a life that is broader than just themselves and what they bring in. You have the group. If the group climate is not positive, is not one in which you have relaxation, in which you don't feel threatened, there's no pestering, for example, in which there is an opening for whatever the profile of another person, there is respect for that. Well, if you can have a context created by the adult and the other children that allow a feeling of, I'm welcome here, it's all right to be here, well, you miss a very important part of the conditions you have to create to develop even language development or whatever part of the curriculum. And from there, I think we understand that it's not just the curriculum that you bring in, it's not just development of involvement that you want to seek, and for every child it can be a different aspect that you have to use. Maybe more material for some children, adapting the difficulty level that you have. But one of the things that we can hold is that the group and the teacher and the children that come in are creating an interaction in which you get synergy. 1 + 1 is 3, because they make one another stronger. When we focus on early years, children between 0 and 5 years of age, it's obvious that this is a very important part of a life, because there the foundation is set. And we are now in this era far away from the idea that we have just to keep them safe in a certain environment and that's it, and when they are growing up then they go to the real school and can develop when they are 6 years of age. This is not what we can understand today with our knowledge of how development goes. So it means that we have to put early years at the top of our priorities, because what we can do there will make sure that they will develop in a higher status later on, but more important even, that their mental health will be secured once they get in other contexts that will be very challenging, and life is challenging, and not in the least for the adults later on. There is enough scientific understanding that if you don't create an absolute, perfect and strong learning environment for these children, younger children, that you lose a lot later on. It costs society an immense amount of money to recover from that, and it will certainly never be able to heal it totally. So what we need from the start is to take well-being and involvement seriously, to make sure that every child gets the positive context that leads to feeling okay in that context. And they are vulnerable, they are very young still. And at the same time that there is a high level of involvement, that they really engage in activities and show a high level of a concentration. Now, strangely enough, I have learned that it seems that children are born with a kind of sense of wonder that for us makes it very easy to create context in which there is high level of involvement. I've been astonished by video clips of children of a few months and already showing this concentration while they are trying to grab something hanging above their bed or whatever, and how long they could continue to do that. And that brings me indeed to Montessori, who already early spotted that in very young children you have this kind of quality of cognition, well, because it's an exploratory drive that is at the center of that, and she named it as one of the indications of the creation with capital C, that it has put this in every child that is born. And we can indeed regularly be astonished by what the concentration we see in children for many things. Last time someone noticed and said, for nothing. They don't need anything. Just a leaf falling from the tree there is enough for them to be very active during minutes and minutes, be busy with that. So we have to keep that sense of wonder alive. And I'm afraid that the easier it is for younger children, the more difficult it is later on. Why is that? The reason is very clear, because children gradually have been caught by a system, by a school and educational system that has taken away one thing that is crucial to keep the sense of wonder, and that is adventure. I realized that play, we thought play, oh, that's important because you move around and that's very helpful to do that. And indeed, it's pleasant to see children play and they engage in that. But I recently understood that the decisive part of play, and I see it again and again in children, is being able to engage, to do something in the void. There is material and other things, but in fact there is no activity as such. There is no script. And they just start, and they go along with that. And they are not afraid, and they don't need a plan or others to just dictate. No, it evolves like that. And also adults know that feeling. People who are creative, who are entrepreneurial. And this is going away. The system and the conditions we have in society now, the modern society with all the tools we have and ICT, is preventing children to continue to savor that wonderful feeling of adventure. So it should be part of life. The school should be a place that gives you the sense and the possibility to experience, to savor, to get the satisfaction of adventure. And we have to start early with that, but we have also to keep it in the years after early years.